In life, have you ever felt like a failure, useless, or even someone who constantly burdens themselves with meaningless comparisons? And because of that, you slowly lose your sense of direction. But as long as you do well with what you already have, the best things will come to you. I hope the following story will offer you a better perspective on life. The story of the cleaning towel. In a small house at the end of a quiet alley, there was a tiny cleaning cloth placed inside a wooden cabinet. From the day it was brought home, the cloth was always proud of its appearance. Pure white, soft, and carrying the fresh scent of new fabric. It was neatly folded, lying beside other clean household items, and it held a quiet pride in being an important part of the home. Whenever the cabinet door opened, the light shining in made the cloth feel as if it were glowing. It enjoyed being gently touched, enjoyed the tender care of the homeowner's hands. Deep inside, the cloth believed it was born to do something special, perhaps to wipe important objects or to be used on truly elegant occasions. Looking at the sparkling glass cups, the cloth secretly thought that one day it would stand alongside them, helping make the house even cleaner and more immaculate. At that time, it believed it would still keep its pure white beauty, remaining the most perfect cloth in this small home. It had no idea yet that the life of a cleaning cloth would not be filled only with cleanliness, but also with trials that would change it forever. In the early days of starting its work, the cleaning cloth was full of excitement. It was taken out by the homeowner to wipe a glossy wooden table. The feeling of contributing to making everything bright and clean filled it with immense pride. Its soft fibers glided across the table's surface, each speck of dust disappearing under its skillful touch. The cloth felt truly useful, truly important. Then it was used to wipe clear glass cups. Each time it saw its slightly distorted reflection on the surface of the glass, the cloth laughed with delight. It thought this work would always be gentle and beautiful like that. But day after day, its tasks became heavier. It had to scrub stubborn stains on the kitchen counter, greasy marks clinging to door handles, and blotchy water stains on window glass. Each time it finished, another dark mark appeared on its body, another patch of grime that could not be shaken off. Over time, the original pure white color was gradually replaced by yellowish stains, a few dark spots that clung tightly, and its softness slowly faded. Whenever it looked at itself in the mirror, the cloth felt sad. It no longer recognized the perfect image from the past. Instead, it saw a cloth covered in the marks of labor. From a once proud symbol of cleanliness, it became a dirty cloth, always fearing it would no longer be valued as before. Yet it did not know that these changes were only the beginning of a journey toward understanding its true worth. After finishing its work, the cleaning cloth would lie on the table, looking at the objects it had just cared for. The glass cups became so clear that light passed through them, forming sparkling rays. The flower vase, once wiped clean, shone like new, radiant under the afternoon sunlight. Everything looked beautiful, clean, and immaculate, completely opposite to the cloth's increasingly grimy appearance. Seeing its blurred reflection in the glass surface, the cloth suddenly felt its heart sink. Why have I become like this? I used to be pure white. I used to be so beautiful. It thought to itself. The stains clinging tightly to its fabric made it feel inferior to everything around it. It believed that anyone who looked at it would think, "This cloth is so dirty, it's completely worthless." Gradually, its inferiority grew so strong that just seeing crystal clear glass cups or a shimmering flower vase made the cloth feel small and insignificant. It began to envy their beauty, objects that always stayed clean because it took care of them, yet no one ever noticed its effort. In that moment, the cloth thought it no longer had any value at all, not knowing that sometimes stains are the signs of silent sacrifice. One afternoon, as the cleaning cloth was resting on the back of a chair after a long day of work, it accidentally overheard whispers from the household items. The sparkling glass cups clinked softly and murmured, "Why is it so dirty? Just looking at it feels unpleasant." Nearby, the flower vase, always so proud, joined in. "That's right, it looks so old and worn. I wonder how much longer it can still be used." Those words seeped into every fiber of the cloth like tiny needles, small yet painfully sharp. It gently lowered itself, trying to hide the yellowed stains and darkened marks left by time and labor. But the more it tried to hide them, the clearer the truth became. It was no longer as beautiful as it once was. Maybe they're right, the cloth thought quietly. I'm just a dirty, worn-out object. I no longer deserve to be in this house. The sadness spread, making the cloth feel as if it were shrinking, thinning with every breath. It had no idea that those objects only saw its appearance and did not understand the nature of its work. They did not know that precisely because the cloth bore the dirt, they could remain clean and shining every day. But in that moment, the cloth could not see that. It heard only the criticism and believed it was truly useless. The cloth lay silently in the corner of the cabinet, carrying a deep misunderstanding about its own worth, unaware that the truth was about to be revealed in a very unexpected way. One summer afternoon, strong winds suddenly rose. Whirling gusts carrying sand and dust rushed into the small house through a half-open window. In just a few minutes, everything inside, from the tabletop, kitchen shelves, and glass doors to the lovely decorative items, was covered in a thick, gray layer of dust. Objects that were once clean and shiny became dull and filthy, almost unrecognizable. The homeowner looked around anxiously at the chaotic scene. She needed to clean immediately, or the dust would cling stubbornly and become hard to wipe away. She opened the cabinet to look for cleaning tools, only to suddenly realize there was just one thing left that could help: the old, dirty cleaning cloth, the very thing everyone had looked down on. The owner gently picked up the cloth. "I'm counting on you today," she said in a soft whisper. The cloth was stunned. It never imagined that it, in its grimy state, would be chosen at such a critical moment. The homeowner started with the table, then moved to the kitchen shelves, the glass doors, and every small corner. Each time the cloth passed over a surface, the thick dust disappeared, restoring cleanliness to the room. Though it gathered more dust and more stains, the cloth continued to do its very best. For the first time after many long, gloomy days, the cloth realized that in the hardest moments, it was the only thing that could help. And that was the very first moment of its awakening. The cloth began its work without a moment of hesitation. Each time the homeowner picked it up, it could clearly feel the weight of dust covering the entire room. Though its fibers were frayed and the stains on its body grew darker, the cloth still tried to wipe every tabletop, every shelf corner, every pane of glass. With each stroke, it left behind a clean, clear space, as if it were bringing a new breath of life to the house. At times, it felt exhausted. The dust clinging to it made the cloth heavier and rougher. But looking around, seeing the household items gradually regain their original shine, the cloth found renewed motivation. It did not want to give up. It did not want to stop while everything was still smeared with grime. From tabletops to door handles, from kitchen corners to windowsills, the cloth worked tirelessly. The items that had once criticized it now watched in silence, as if witnessing something they had never truly understood before. Finally, when the last layer of dust disappeared and the afternoon light shone into the room, now clean once more, the cloth, though exhausted, felt its heart grow light. It understood that no matter how dirty it might look on the outside, it was its dedication that made the difference. Because of it, the whole house became bright and tidy again, as if it had never endured the strong winds at all. When the cleaning was finally finished, the small house returned to its familiar state of cleanliness and warmth. The gentle afternoon sunlight streamed through the window, reflecting off the tabletop that had been polished to a shine. The homeowner stood in the middle of the room, looked around, and let out a relieved sigh. In her hand was the cleaning cloth, covered in dust, heavy with grime, and frayed at the edges from working so hard. She did not toss it into a corner as she usually did. Instead, she lifted the cloth closer to her face, gently stroked its worn fibers, and smiled with affection. Her voice was so warm that the cloth could feel it. "Thanks to you, the house is clean. You get dirty so everything else can stay clean." The cloth fell silent. This was the first time it had ever heard such sincere gratitude. All the sadness, the self-doubt, and the hurtful remarks that had once wounded it suddenly melted away. It felt warmth spreading deep within every fiber of its being. So being dirty was not a bad thing after all. Sometimes being dirty is the result of effort, of carrying the burdens that others cannot. In that moment, the cloth recognized its true value for the first time. and understood that recognition sometimes comes from quiet acts, not from a perfect appearance. Hearing the homeowner's words, the cloth remained still in her hand, yet inside it felt as if something had suddenly lit up. All this time, it had believed it was dirty because it was inferior, because it had lost its value, because it was no longer as beautiful as it once was. But now it realized, those stains were not signs of uselessness. They were proof of everything it had done. It was dirty because it had wiped away grime that no other object in the house could bear in its place. It was stained because it had stood in the dirtiest places to protect the beauty of the glass cups, the flower vases, and the entire room. The yellowed marks it once hated were the result of countless efforts, of many days spent working tirelessly without expecting recognition. In that moment, the cloth understood a profound truth. Its value did not lie in a shiny appearance, but in the actions it quietly performed every day. No object in that sparkling house could look beautiful without it. And not everyone could accept being dirty so that others could remain clean, the way it had. The cloth felt a deep sense of relief. For the first time in many long days, it no longer envied the glossy objects around it. Instead, it felt proud of carrying heavy burdens without a single word of complaint. It understood that the true value of an object, just like that of a human being, does not lie in appearance, but in the silent contributions we bring to this life. The ending of the story of the dirty cleaning cloth carries a warm and profound message about the value of every human being. In life, everyone carries their own strengths and weaknesses, their own kinds of beauty, and their own scars. Some people stand out because of radiant appearances or easily recognized talents. But there are also those who quietly stand behind the scenes, silently doing unnoticed work, shouldering heavy burdens so that others can live more smoothly, cleanly, and beautifully. That does not mean they are of lesser value. On the contrary, they are the ones who keep life running in its most gentle and stable way. The story reminds us that no one is born useless. When placed in the right position, in the right circumstances, everyone can do something meaningful and can shine in their own way. Perfection does not lie in a flawless appearance, but in what we give, in our willingness to carry difficulties so that others may be better off. If each of us learns to look deeper into essence rather than judging only by outward appearances, we will come to realize this. Even a dirty cloth carries within it a story of silent sacrifice and an irreplaceable value.